Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a very special episode of Berserk. As always, I am your host, Zakoshi, and alongside me is my co-host, Chip. Chip, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good for a Thursday. It's not quite Friday, but it feels like a Monday.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite the beautiful day here, but, it's not raining like it has been the last 3 days.
Metaphorically or literally?
Literally.
Ah, gotcha.
It's the Midwest for you. It never stops raining here.
What do you got going on this weekend? Anything fun?
Mother's Day, work stuff, that's how it's going.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
I have a
today is a very special episode, I think, for both of us. It's about the one and only fucking Berserk.
absolutely
I got a
the
little
only
too excited
manga
there.
I've ever read. No, you're reasonably excited. Berserk's amazing.
It is. It's a gold standard for, I would say, dark storytelling.
It was the golden age of dark storytelling.
And it's hard to believe it came out around the same time as like JoJo's and Fist, and I guess even Dragon Ball to an extent, since Dragon Ball came out in the 80s.
Now that you mention it, yeah, I didn't even think about Dragon Ball being that old, but all these other franchises that are still going on since then makes me a little bit nervous for JoJo's
Mm-hmm.
after what unfortunately happened to Kintaro.
Oh, yeah, the early passing of an amazing artist and writer. It's insane the world he has crafted in his magnum opus. And it's one of those it's like the Canterbury Tales. It's the point where it might not ever be finished.
It's been over a year at this point, and we're still waiting for an official announcement, from what I remember, as to whether or not it's going to continue.
I'm sure the publishing company would love for it to continue, and I think even um I think even Muro would want it to continue, and I think his assistants would like to see his dream fulfilled. But I mean, that's a heavy handful, and like for those assistants to carry because like I'm sure they'll probably have a couple notes to work off of, and maybe even like a confidant of his that they could talk to. But like I mean, you've told me before from what you've learned, and I've read somewhere he kept everything very close to him, and that Berserk wasn't just a story. Don't mind my phone noise. It was him on page basically. It was all about his heart and soul.
Hmm. Really emphasizing that struggle. When I was in college in a not so great part of the United States, muggings were pretty common.
Hmm.
And I would go out at night, and if someone was going to mug me, would beg for my life for the reasoning that, well, for starters, Berserk hasn't ended. I need to see where it goes. But at this point, that's not really an option.
Yeah, I mean at this point, like it's one of those series where I've got to see it through to the end.
Hmm.
I haven't read the whole manga like you have. I've watched the original '97 anime. I've watched the three Golden Age movies, and unfortunately, I've watched the 2016 anime, which I didn't think was as bad, but mostly some other. I have some other thoughts on that too, and I've played one of the games. Um, Actually, I played two of the games, but it's one of those stories where like it, if you've been in a dark place that you've basically put on a mask and a falsetto, not a falsetto, that's a high squeaking voice, a like a faux kind of emotional level of neutrality to everything and anger, like it just speaks to you. And then once you learn like how real the struggles were, I can see why like I love the Dark Souls series so much
Hmm.
because of it being like basically the best Berserk games ever made without the Berserk name on them. But
While it is high fantasy, it's really far out there. It's still has relatable characters, which is something that's harder to pull off than most people think. Sort of encapturing the struggles of reality in a fantasy medium.
yeah, I mean like the first few volumes of the Black Swordsman arc where it's like Guts just kind of going around being an asshole and like working and stuff. I mean, it's like, oh, cool, big man with big sword kill big
Hmm.
thing or something like that. You know, that speaks to the one part of my brain that is really into that. But like, I mean, once you get to that Golden Age arc and you learn like where he came from and like the reason he's after or trying to protect these people, like it just opens up guts to be such an amazing protagonist. And then his growth throughout the series is insane.
I'd
And
like
he's become one of my favorite protagonists of all time.
I'd like to akin it to JoJo's Part One, where before the Golden Age arc, it was still kind of finding its feet.
Oh yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Like the first arc was a lot like the prototype, Berserk prototype manga.
Hmm.
Like the one shot that they made for it. But I mean, Mura was also like pretty young when he started writing this.
Yeah, he was 20 something. I think he was born in 1966.
Yeah, I mean, he
I
was
could be wrong.
very young, and I mean, it's amazing. Like, I think he had published mangas in his teens, and it's like everything that he had done beforehand had led up to Berserk, and I gotta say, like, I don't think we'd be in the current state of manga and entertainment without it.
No, it was certainly a founding pillar. So, how did you first discover Berserk? What was your experience there?
So I was I've told this story before. I got into anime around the age of 12 because I liked an friend's older sister because she was kind of like that. Um, she was kind of like that late 2000s like goth anime weeb girl, and I'm like, oh, she likes anime. If I like anime, maybe she'll like me. That was not the case, but I had already watched 4 animes at the time, and I was like, you know what? I really like this. And I never thought of Dragon Ball as an anime until then. But I was kind of like, I had a Chromebook or something at the time, and I was just looking for anime, like trying to gobble up all of it I can get. And I come across this one called Berserk. I was like, oh, that seems cool. And I just watched Claymore, which I actually really enjoyed. Um, and I started watching through it, and I'm like, wow, this is really neat and dark. And oh my god, did that horse just rape that lady? But I don't know, it just was something different. And it was paced in a really good way. I watched the dub and not the sub at the time because I wasn't really into reading at the moment. And it was something different, and I was like, oh, I want to find more. That's how I found one of the games for the PlayStation 2. And I played it. I really liked it because it was so different and difficult, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. And then it just went quiet for a while because I was like, I can't really. It was kind of along the lines where I still didn't want to read manga digitally because I liked owning it, and I didn't have access to go to the stores that sold manga, and I didn't have access to Amazon. So I just it kind of faded into the ether for a bit until around 2016 when the new anime had come out, and I watched it. I liked it at the time because it was like it was cool. You know, it was like, ah, yeah, he's fighting monsters. That chick's got huge tits. You know, I was like 17, 8. No, I was 19. You know, that's what my brain was doing.
Fair enough.
And you know, then I went back and watched the 3 Golden Age movies, and it was just like, oh my goodness, I need to get more invested in this. And I still did not want to wait. I still didn't want to read the manga online, so I just recently, like 2 months ago, well, actually about a year ago, I bought the first standalone volume of Berserk. And then about 2 months ago, I started buying the Black Books. I've got
Mhm.
the second volume, and I have to say it's the best way to enjoy the series so far.
Ugh. Imagine legally acquiring your manga.
I like stuff to be on display. It's the same reason I like to still buy physical video games.
You like to flex, is that it?
I don't know. I mean, it's not really a flex. It's just I'm really into retro gaming.
Hmm.
And I like to work on like electronics. So it's like, oh, I like having the physical stuff because I don't have to worry about it like breaking ass fast if something's not like a driver's not installed or something. It's mostly plug and play.
True.
Um, and I already know how to work on all that stuff, so it's usually easy for me to fix things.
You know, I should probably reread Berserk. I read through it one time a long time ago,
Hmm.
and I've been keeping up with the chapters, but I first found it when I was in high school in like 2012. Um, I was in like a study hall and someone was reading it on their laptop. I asked what that was. They
Hmm.
said, "Oh, it's Berserk. You should check it out. It's pretty good." So I'd never read a manga before, and I went home at about 4 o'clock. I read chapter one, and by about 5:30 in the morning, I had completed all the chapters. It was very good. I like it a lot better, especially than the 2016 anime, but uh, really engrossing story. Obviously, there were some slow bits, but relatable characters
Hmm.
and great action.
Yeah, unfortunately, the we haven't got a perfect adaptation of Berserk, and that almost feels like an insult, Onyx, honestly, for something that is such a masterpiece. And if I had to choose a company to probably make an adaptation, but
Hmm.
I would want it to be 1-to-1 with the manga. I would say maybe David Productions because of what
Yes.
JoJo was one of those things that were like it can never be adapted, but I mean, they've done fantastic.
If they did a modern adaptation of Berserk, that would be incredible. Or
Hmm.
even Fist, but we're talking about Berserk today.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would
yeah.
even like to see Studio Bones, maybe the ones that did Hellsing, and Code Geass. I think they could also do a really good adaptation, but they're more best with the lanky looking boy kind of animes, so
Mm-hmm.
might be a little different when you've got big bulky man. So I think David Productions would be my number one go to for it, especially if they kept the 3D effects to a minimum.
That's true. You know what I'm really hoping for?
What
A Netflix live action adaptation. I couldn't even say that without laughing. Oh
I
god.
I mean, I think it would adapt really well to live action if it has a really high budget.
Yeah, the budget would need to be insane.
Because it's like one of those things where like the One Piece live action is going to be coming out soon, and I'm like, oh, I love One Piece, and maybe I'll like it because I want to give it the benefit of the doubt, and I want to like give it my best praise because the casting has been great. It's been directly involved with Oda, so if it you couldn't be directly involved with Miro, but I think if the right people were involved with it, I think they would do a pretty good adaptation. But it seems like Netflix is not really lashing out the money right now.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic.
Yeah,
But regardless, I'd love to see it.
yeah, me too. I mean, even a live action movie of the Golden Age, which
Mm,
I think they could do. I don't know. It depends on if it's a Hollywood doing it or if it's a Japanese studio doing it. And I'm kind of like meh about either or. Honestly, it should be a Korean studio, the ones that did Squid Game.
mm. That
Um,
does that would be kind of sick. Make it a
yeah.
bit more realistic and gritty, as
Hmm.
opposed to having a bunch of CGI in there.
Yeah. It's it's just kind of the same problem. I cannot talk today. It's kind of the same problem I've had with like the Baki adaptation and the King and Ashura adaptation. Too much CGI.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the cell shading, I think CGI is passable, like they did with the Frieza OVAs for Dragon Ball. But
Hmm.
in terms of the story of Berserk, I mean, my favorite part was definitely the Eclipse.
Oh
It was
yeah.
like a switch was flipped in terms of the story and plot, and I thought it was going to be slice of life going through battlefields, but it became so much more very quickly.
Yeah, I mean the Eclipse is just like it is literally the turning point. It's the cataclysmic event that got us to where. Honestly, I'd probably say it's the climax, and everything after has really been the or one of the climaxes for the first act. I guess would be the right thing to say, because we've still not seen. Yeah, I don't think he's has he. I don't remember at the moment, and I don't
What?
want to be too spoiled, but I don't think he's fought Griffith after the eclipse yet.
Ooh, no, I
Yeah,
don't think so. If they did, I don't think it would have. If they did, I think it was a long time ago.
yeah.
I
I know some of the games have him fighting like Griffith after the eclipse because you're like it's got him and Casca like right after the eclipse, kind of walking around.
hmm
So I was a little spoiled from that, I guess. But I mean, what do you think about if they they adapted Berserk on a boat?
I wouldn't mind a beach episode.
Yeah. There's like a whole arc almost where they spend time on a boat where they're
Yeah,
flying to Elfheim,
exactly.
or not flying, but just sailing. So I think it'll be fine.
You know who I really hate in
Hmm.
Berserk? Puck.
Really?
Yep, I find him horribly obnoxious. I know a lot of people like him, but I think he's meant to be a lighthearted comedic character. Maybe the jokes don't translate,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't generally enjoy his presence.
Yeah, I agree to an extent. I don't think his stuff is translated well to an American audience.
I mean,
Um,
translating humor is difficult in general.
it really is. How do I explain this? His voice adaptations have also not been the greatest. So like it's always like high squealy little boy sounding, and I don't know. it's it's not something that entertains me. It kind of hurts my ears, and I already have horrible hearing.
His existence is nails on a chalkboard, let alone when he opens his mouth.
Yeah, but he's kind of an important character. He's helped Guts progress in a way.
Yeah, he has, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of the Puck hate. I'll internalize that from now on. So a
Who's your
lot of people
favorite?
like him.
Who's your favorite side character from Berserk?
My favorite side character?
Yeah,
Ooh,
or maybe because he's kind of got a party of people.
he
Um,
does.
yeah. Who is your favorite in the party?
Say my favorite would probably be Farnese.
Yeah, that's it's really
She's had a
hard to say no to that.
Yeah, she's had a lot of character development. Really did a 180 from being a religious fanatic
Hmm.
to what she is today. What
Yeah,
about you?
I have to agree with that. But I also really like Roderick.
Mm.
He's just kind of interesting, you know. Um, and he's just I don't know. He just comes off as this like piratey person all the time, and I like pirates. So you know, I'm not going to be upset about anything because he's already a pirate kind of look. Even though I know he's like this, he's a captain of a fleet and he's engaged to Fardis. So
Oh,
yeah,
what was I gonna say? Yeah. So you haven't read the full manga, huh?
no.
You really should,
Oh, I know.
because
I have to.
yeah, we've said it before, but there have been some pieces like with the double page of the large tree. I forget what part that was in, but Miura spent days doing some of that like pixel by pixel,
Hmm.
and it really shows. It's absolutely beautiful. I would like a colored adaptation. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of uh, colored panels, but if the entire thing was colored,
Hmm.
I think that would be absolutely breathtaking.
Hold on one second. Somebody is calling me.
Oh, you paused it?
Yeah,
Damn,
I had to pause it for that.
that's a shame.
um, so let's see. We were talking about reading the manga. Yeah, the spreads are. I mean, even in the first two volumes of these black books is insane on the amount of detail. So I'd love to see where how much better he gets over the years.
I mean, as they come out, I'm hoping you're at least going to read the black books.
Yeah,
What volumes do you have?
I have the first one right now, and the second one's going to be coming out like coming soon.
Gotcha.
So I know the Golden Age one starts on the fourth of the black books, and I think it goes until the 12th.
I think
Oh
there are
wait, no,
only
that's
10
normal. That's the normal one. That's the normal volumes.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Golden Age comes out on the 4th, then I have no idea what the hell they're doing in those giant books.
Yeah. I know like the first one's pretty much all black swordsman. I think the second one is also mostly black swordsman.
Hmm.
So I'll have to recheck when I get online to look again. I thought about maybe ordering them through one of my favorite like comic book stores to give them a little bit of business.
Hmm.
Because I like to support small independent businesses like that.
You know, going back to the games, I'd really like to see a Berserk game made by Platinum
Yeah.
or the ones that did Devil May Cry. What is that, Capcom?
Yeah. Capcom would be
Wait,
cool.
Capcom, didn't they already do a Berserk game?
I don't think so. It was whoever does Dynasty Warriors made one.
Well, that explains the gameplay.
Yeah.
Cut up a million people, although it's fitting, it's only, in my opinion, satisfying for a little bit.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I liked Dynasty Warriors games, but after a while, I just got really kind of tired of it because it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it gets old real quick unless your brain gives you the good chemicals for cutting up a million people at once for 15 hours.
Yeah. Um, what was the other game that's kind of like? I mean, because like outside of everything else and like outside of Soulsborne games, I predominantly play like city management and strategy games. Which if you've ever played some of those games, a single game can last up to like 30 hours. I'm looking at you, Stellaris.
Hmm.
But I would even be really happy with like a JRPG of Berserk because I
I
do enjoy
think
those.
I think they should take it the way they did with Fist of the North Star and make it a Yakuza clone.
Oh, that would be awesome.
It would be having an open world environment. Oof, baby.
Oh yeah, maybe even you know what? No, FromSoft should make a Berserk game. There we go.
They really should.
I mean, they've already basically done it. Like, you
Yeah.
cannot sit there and tell me that Elden Ring is not just Berserk with different names and colors.
Oh, absolutely. So many references. In fact, you've played a bit of Elden Ring, right?
Yeah, I'm almost done with it. I'm about to fight Radon, and then I'm gonna clean up the plateau.
That is not even fucking close to done with it.
Oh well, I'm halfway through.
That is not even close to halfway through.
You know?
Regardless,
Yeah.
there's a boss later on. Her name's Melania,
Mm-hmm.
and she her armor looks exactly like Furness's armor.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's references to guts throughout it as well with the wolf swordsman. It's major major tributes to Kintaro there. Hell, even the Erd tree.
Oh yeah. I'm currently playing through with Guts' greatsword as a almost pure strength build. Uh,
Oh,
I'm loving every second of it.
man of culture, I see.
Yeah, I know that I should diversify my beer build for later people, but at the same time, it's like, ooh, big sword.
Big sword make big damage.
It does. I mean, it's insane. I have like a plus 15 right now, and it's insane. I love it. I'm focusing on getting my health and stamina up to the right levels, but yeah, I mean, if FromSoft made a Berserk game, I think it would be amazing, especially if it's in like the Soulsborne engine.
Yeah, you know, I looked up the weight of Guts' sword the other day in
Hmm.
pounds and was a little shocked, but then I remembered that it's just a solid piece of iron. It's
Hmm.
about 400 pounds.
Oh wow. I mean, look at Guts though. He's fucking ripped.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I mean, you wouldn't even have to swing. if you could swing that thing, you wouldn't even have to. You just drop it on things.
Yeah, I mean, any human would probably die instantly.
You could slice a car in half.
Oh, speaking of that, I was driving today and I saw a tree fall on a car. Yeah, I did the same thing.
Sorry,
No one
that's
was
not
inside the car,
funny. Okay,
which,
good.
but I did laugh. I was like, sucks to be them. Um, but if had somebody been in the car, I would have been a lot more worried. I thought it
Would
was
have
kind of,
really sucked to be them then.
yeah. I think their insurance will cover it though, but
It
you
will.
never know.
Yeah, that's true. But likely will.
Yeah.
Uh, Berserk references. I mean, where to begin?
Oh man. Where do you begin? There's
Just
so
point,
many,
point your finger and you'll find one.
pretty much, or something that's
Actually,
a reference to something else that was inspired by Berserk.
I'm pointing my finger right now. Dark Souls board game right there. What
Ooh.
can I point at to my left?
Um,
Berserk Volume 1.
yeah, I mean it is everywhere.
Berserk? Is that a Berserk reference?
Yeah, I kind of wish the Berserk references were kind of like JoJo references where it's like, "Oh, is that a JoJo reference?"
Oh, that would get so old so quick.
Yeah. I be honest. I will be honest though because I don't want to talk like a 4-year-old. If I'm actually really proud and happy that the Berserk community is gatekeeping the fandom from Twitter people.
Yeah, I think there was some controversy about that not too long ago,
Yeah, they
where
were
Twitter
like,
finally discovered Berserk.
yeah, because Elden Ring became pretty mainstream, which I mean, honestly, it's fucking amazing and deserves to be. And I was just seeing that people were like complaining about Berserk and like how it portrays women. I'm like, do you guys not understand how it portrays men? They are literally worthless in Berserk.
Yeah, well, it's Twitter. Don't
Yeah,
get your expectations high at all.
there's like what 4 women in the manga in the story that have like horrible things happen to them like that. Which I'm not saying it's it's not good in any way. Don't want people to think that I'm some kind of hater or misogynist in some way. It's
Hmm.
more of the fact that it's a story about hardship. It's supposed to be real. Those are things that happen in real life. They don't just get swept under the rug. And the fandom being like, if you don't like it, don't read it. We don't need to be you to be a part of us because we understand the deeper themes of this story, and you need hardship to tell a good story. So I do agree with them to a extent. I think people should read it, but if you
Hmm.
can't handle those kind of explicit things, it's not for you.
Yeah, I mean, what? Everyone knows that life for women in the 1300s was fantastic, right?
No, no. I mean, maybe in Viking culture, since women were giving a
That's
lot
true.
of autonomy,
I mean, Twitter just gets mad over everything. Don't read it. Oh, doctor, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do that.
pretty much. I bet you that I don't have Twitter anymore well, I do have Twitter, but I haven't logged on to it in a while. So if you follow my Twitter, I'm sorry, you're pretty much just getting whenever I post on Reddit or post a video. Um, I'm pretty sure that I could post a picture of a random rock I find outside, put it as hashtag controversial, and people would fucking bitch and complain about it.
Oh my god, you definitely could.
They
Yeah.
would eat that up, and it would be a mix of trolls and then actual people complaining about the rock.
It's really hard to tell the difference sometimes.
Yeah, I mean they would be like, "Oh, but why'd you take a picture of that rock without his permission?" It's a fucking rock. It doesn't. It can't give
Excuse me.
consent.
Excuse me, I identify as a rock and a rock sexual. You should ask for consent from that rock before taking its picture.
All right, so let's get back on track a little bit with Berserk before we start just a flame war.
Go
Um,
down to the rock
what
and rock itself.
what do you think is the most intense scene in the entire series, like besides the eclipse?
I, oh, well, uh, I was immediately going to say Eclipse until that second part. Most intense scene. I would say, well, you haven't read it, so spoiler. Uh, is that all right if I spoil it for you?
Oh yeah, I don't mind spoilers. It makes me look
Okay.
forward to stuff.
So I would say that the most intense scene was when, in the most recent chapters, when Casca snaps out of her stupor and comes back to reality. And she's, fully aware of her surroundings and conscious, but she's still traumatized at the sight of guts because it brings back memories about what happened. I think that was a pretty intense scene.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine someone, having amnesia, going through life, and then suddenly it all comes back to them, but the one that loves them most, who's been helping them the entire time, re-triggers that traumatic event in their mind.
All right.
What about you? What are your thoughts?
Um, I did read the last chapter of Berserk because after I heard about his passing, I just wanted to see where it left off. I do very much agree with you about Casca coming back to reality, but I think before that, I think what Donovan did to Guts.
Yeah, that's fair.
The fact that his own father, in quotation marks, sold him to allow that to happen. That is something that really happens in the real world, and
Mm.
as someone that has suffered that kind of abuse from an older person when I was younger, it hit super close to home with me, and I connected to Guts on a whole different level.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that that happened to you, and I
So
could see why that would be considered an intense scene.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm thankful for therapy because nowadays I can talk about that kind of stuff.
There you go.
Gotta laugh it off. Uh,
Well, that's certainly one way to go about it.
it's a coping mechanism.
I appreciate your forthcomingness with that. It
Yeah.
really helps to emphasize your perspective on the intensity of that scene. And I can see that too. I can
Hmm.
see how that would be very intense.
Yeah, I mean, it's after that I was just like, oh, I have to read more. I have to see where he goes, and
Hmm.
it's been really inspirational to see that he has set such clear goals and he's been doing everything he possibly can to attain them. And as from someone who felt very lost in life and searching for a purpose, that really also like overcoming harsh vindictions in your life to still try to obtain some sense of a goal or purpose. Oh man, it's right there in the heart for me.
Absolutely. And circling back to where we started here, that being the overall theme is what makes it very relatable and a story that I think will last through the ages.
Well, it looks like we're coming up on the end of our time here. Maybe give a little bit of a teaser for maybe what the next episode might be about. It was a topic briefly talked about and mentioned in this episode. So if you guess it right when the next episode after this one goes live, comment it in the thing and we'll give you a little heart. Also, everyone, remember to please like, share, and subscribe. Um, send us carrier pigeons if you can,
Don't
smoke
forget to
signals.
ring that notification bell.
Oh yeah, don't forget to ring the bell. Just do it. Ring the
Painful
bell.
shilling. Ring the bell. Sponsored
Anyways,
by Raid Shadow Legends. Ring the bell.
yeah, we want to be sponsored by Raid. They've got all kinds of money. But Chip, always great getting to talk to you, and we'll see you all later.
All right. We'll see you all around.